Meike 50mm f1.2 is an affordable, full-frame, fully manual portrait lens. But how does it stack up against Sony G Master 50mm f1.2 and Nikkor f1.4 50mm as well? Let's find out. What's good, guys? My name is Oleg Nikitin, and first let's see the mounts. This lens is made for Sony E mount or Canon EF, Canon RF or Nikon Z mount. As a disclaimer, I have to say that Meike company did send me this lens for a review, but it's not a sponsored video, and in this video you'll see only my honest thoughts and opinions about this lens. In the kit we do have a rear and a front cap, pretty plasticky, and the lens hood is also really plasticky, but it's not that important because the lens itself is made out of metal completely. The build quality and the materials are just great. It's made out of metal, it has very smooth rings, both aperture and focusing ring, but unfortunately it doesn't have any contacts with the camera. That is why you have to manually set the steady shot, and also you don't get the EXIF information. In terms of size and weight, it's not small and it's not light, but it's a bit lighter than the 50mm 1.2 GM from Sony, and the Meike lens weighs around 620 grams. The 67mm filter thread is a great choice because it's a very popular filter thread size, and I'm almost certain that you do have such filter or a bigger one, and you can use some cheap step-up rings. And now let's talk about the sharpness in comparison with Nikkor 50mm f1.4G and later on with 50mm GM. I have to mention that f-stops are not considered to be the true and the right measurement for light transparency. For those measures we should use t-stops, so don't be scared that f1.2 is kind of the same in terms of brightness as 1.4. On two different lenses, it's okay. So as you can see, starting from f1.2, the Meike lens is kinda soft a little bit, but it's not terribly soft. Until f2.8 we do get the improvement of sharpness in the middle of the picture, but unfortunately the corners of the image are always a bit soft. Comparing to the Nikkor lens, we do see that the f1.2 on Meike lens is the same as Nikkor at f1.4. But when we switch to f1.4 on Meike lens, we do see that it's sharper than the Nikkor on f1.4. And also related to this topic, the distortion and vignette. The Meike lens has a strong barrel distortion and quite strong vignette at wider apertures, and by f2 2.8 is getting much better in terms of vignette. You can fix the distortion in post, both in video and photos, or you can just be more accurate with straight lines in your shots. For example, on 50mm G Master lens we do have a vignette as well. By f2 it's pretty strong, but it has almost no distortion. Comparing to Sony 50mm f1.2 G Master, the G Master has almost no chromatic aberrations, and those are an issue for the Meike lens, and we'll talk about it in a minute. And the GM has a very sharp image, kinda clinically sharp, let me say, starting from f1.2 straightly. And if you absolutely need the cleanest and the sharpest picture, and you can pay almost 6 times more for a GM lens, go for it. But if you are looking for that 50mm f1.2 creamy dreamy look, the Meike lens can provide you with some similar results and pretty stunning ones. By the way, the full review of 50mm f1.2 GM lens is on the channel, and the link is down below. So the image quality and bokeh. I do like the pictures and video coming out of this lens, and it has 10-bladed aperture, which provides us with very smooth and very creamy and nice bokeh. And we do have a little bit of cat's eye shapes towards the corners, but when we stop down the lens we do still get kinda round bokehs, and all in all I have no complaints whatsoever about the bokeh and the image quality itself. Let me say not the quality but the character. The focus breathing, it's average, it's not ideal, not perfect, but it's not the worst I've seen. If you do not do some focus pulls from the infinity focus to the minimal focusing distance in one shot, you'll be more than okay with this focus breathing. Speaking of focusing, the manual focusing in video is a little tough because it has only 90 to 100 degrees of focus rotation, I mean the focus ring rotation, and it's not that easy to get the focus with such shallow depth of field manually, so I suggest using focus picking and on-camera monitor for it. Let's talk about flares. This lens is a very interesting one in terms of flares, because it has a very strong rainbow-like flare at extreme angles when we're shooting against the sun or ditto light, like in this case. So it's less than average performance here, but it can be used in a creative way as a creative tool, and if you do want that flare, that interesting and big and orangey, yellowy, rainbowy flare, this lens is for you. And now one of the most anticipating parts is the chromatic aberrations. Yes, this lens does have a lot of chromatic aberrations when you shoot wide open, but when you step down to f1.8 or maybe f2, those chromatic aberrations almost disappear. So if you shoot something bright like, I don't know, branches against the sky or something else against the sky, very contrasty and bright, please stop down the lens to reduce this effect. And the minimal focus and distance is 60 centimeters, which is pretty far in my opinion, but the GM lens, for instance, is also around this minimal focus and distance, but in my opinion it's not a bad thing by any means. If you do need to shoot some macro, you can use some macro rings or macro adapters. And finally, the price is $350, which is almost 6 times less than the G Master lens. So guys, the conclusion. This lens has character and it has the mood in it. If you know its weaknesses like flaring and chromatic aberrations and you stop down when needed and you avoid flares, or probably you catch them on purpose for your creative work, you can get some truly outstanding shots. I would say it's a moody and creative lens. And considering the price difference between this lens and GM, I would say if you are okay with focusing manually and knowing those weaknesses, this lens is a very good choice. And it'll provide you with definitely different look than you can get with, for example, 24-70 lens on 50mm. So guys, if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons as I say in my videos and hit the notifications bell. Please share all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. How do you like this lens? Is it really possible to manually focus such a fast lens? And just all of your thoughts down below. I'll see you in the next video guys. Take care. Bye.